Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to another AIMBOT. Am I morally bankrupt or them? Hello, hello. And I see some amazing people in the audience. I'm Mark Reed, going to be the host who does most toast today. I don't know what else to say. Yeah, I had an interesting week. It's really good to see you all. So what's AIMBOT? If those people joining us new or people watching it later, in fact, AIMBOT is where we take some moral frameworks and apply them to things off Am I the A-hole on Reddit and see if we can apply some sort of morality to this crazy mixed up world. I use secular humanism. You're welcome to use whatever you want, but I am interested in the why you make your moral judgments, not just what they are. Sort of what's the rationale? Now, I don't curate these. I don't pre-select them. I don't read them beforehand. In a usual lack of preparation on my part, I just find them and we'll take first come, first served and see what we think. So they're new to me as well as new to you. A lot of people do say, hey, well, take a moral emotivism. It's whatever you feel like it is. I see how that works. Then it would just be a reflection of the culture that you were raised in. And I get that. I don't know. I feel like there should be something, or I want there to be something which is more intellectual than, hey, that's wrong because I feel like it's wrong. I feel like people can at least rationalize why they feel like something is wrong. So, yeah, big shout out, Left-Handed Jedi. Andrew's back. Good to see you, Andrew. Always good to see you. The Shaken Fist. Yep. The Shaken Fist. Those crazy kids. Phantom's back. Hello, Phantom. Deviant Outcast. Oh, Deviant. Always wonderful to see you. So I can't see anybody else, but I've missed you. Terribly sorry, and I will get back to you at some point. So good to see you all. And the weird thing was, so in the news, America is now, or Marco Rubio, I'm sorry, is now lambasting Europe for buying European weapons to defend themselves. So this is the thing, right? This is the thing. It's kind of... morally, I think America's in a really questionable situation because not even what they're doing gets them to what they want to do. So I'll explain what I mean by that. Reasonably, we can say, hey, something's moral if it gets you to the purported goal of what you're attempting. So it's really strange because America has sort of said to Europe, kind of, don't, you rely on us too much. You buy all of our stuff. You rely on our weapons. You rely on our things. Why don't you defend yourselves instead of relying on America so much? And then they're sort of very unreliable as far as, they're sort of, they said, started to initiate they weren't going to support Ukraine. They started to question NATO and things like that. So a reasonable expectation would be that Europe would go, okay, we're going to defend ourselves then and work on our own defense industry so we're not so reliant on America, which is ostensibly what they wanted. They wanted a more isolationist policy, which, is well, we're not going to go and defend you. It's absolutely crazy that Europe has done what you would expect from America's foreign policy, which is, well, America's angry that we're too reliant on them. Let's be more self-reliant. And now Mark Rubio's gone over there and said, why are you pulling out of defense contracts and giving them to European nations? Like the madness of that is like, I could only imagine what the foreign ministers and ambassadors and things would have thought when Trump's administration is basically going, how dare you not rely on America? Like, I don't, it's so wild to me. I have no idea. It's so wild. Jessica, so good to see you. So good to see you. I win every debate in my dreams. Look, I will talk about that debate. I might do it on the member stream. I'm not sure. That was weird. That was so weird. A couple of highlights from that is the English guy telling me that I borrowed his language. That was hilarious. Sort of trapping him in a logical contradiction about God, and then him saying, well, logic doesn't apply to God. That was hilarious to me. Like, that's actually hilarious. Like, how he claims that God is logical, and then when he gets trapped by logic, he goes, nope, doesn't apply to God anymore. Well, that means that God isn't logical. That's hilarious to me. And someone reminded me of it, but yeah, one of the funniest parts where he said, I'm the excluded middle. Like, I am the excluded middle. Like Sylvester Stallone in Judge Dredd. I am the law. I am the excluded middle. It's me. I don't even know. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. 2, excluded middle. That's something illogical. It doesn't exist. So he's basically saying, I don't exist. And on the comments, the funniest part was I had to screenshot the comments, because the funniest part was when I said, well, the excluded middle doesn't exist. You know what? I might see if I can explain this for people that haven't seen it before. Do I have I think I've got a board here somewhere. I actually just closed my window. I didn't want to do that. I have become death, the destroyer of worlds. Yeah. Can I clear the board? Clear board. Okay. Share screen. Oh, look, I could not, like, but to say that was somehow, actually, I think I'm going to do that one for the moment. Yeah, that's better. There we go. There's my online board. So in the excluded middle, with any proposition, or really anything at all, like really any entity, but any proposition, you have like either like there'll be a Venn diagram kind of thing. It's going to either be true or false, right? So just say God exists. A proposition is a statement of some sort, like just basically a statement that says something. So let's say the proposition is God exists, right? That's either going to be true or false. Look, drawing with a mouse is not the easiest. If I'm going to do this, I should probably get like a stylus thing, you know, a stylus and a pad. I have not. I'll be honest with you. I have not done that. So yeah, there's that. So any proposition, there's going to be a true and a false. Now, so basically there's two of the laws of logic are the laws of non-contradiction and the law of excluded middle. The law of non-contradiction is this part here, non-contradiction, right? The bit in the center. You can't have it true and false at the same time. There's no way that God exists and not exists at the same time, right? Can't be. That is a fallacy in the middle, and that's non-contradiction. Outside of it is excluded middle, right? So that means for any dichotomy, basically anywhere that there's two options, a true or a false, or a cat and not a cat, there's nothing outside of it, right? So anything outside of that Venn diagram is the excluded middle. Like there's no, apart from true and false, there's no other option for God exists. It is either true or false. And you might say, well, you know, there's you know, it's kind of true. Yeah, okay, I get that. But then it is true, right? Like there's no kind of in it. And it depends on how you define exists. But it means however you define it, it either exists or does not exist. You can't have it both ways. So instead of God exists, we'll do something different. Can I change the size of that eraser? No, I'm screwed. So and really this just applies to propositions and kind of descriptions of things. Let's just get rid of here, because he was using the cat is on the mat, and I'll just use you know, a cat sort of analogy. Okay. So it means for any proposition, either just so you've got a cat, right? So in the true, you've got that it is a cat. And so a lot of the time where people go wrong is they say they get an opposite, or what they think is the opposite to something, right? They think that, you know, there's, they think that, hey, the negation or the opposite, the negation of a cat is and I'm keeping this very simple, is a dog, right? That's not true, right? That is not the negation to a cat, right? So basically it has to be not cat, right? So however you define a cat, it either is going to be a cat or not a cat. Like there is no middle part where it's both a cat and not a cat. That's sort of contradictory. Well, Schrodinger's cat is that you only know the status of the cat once you've opened it, and opening it will sort of put it in. This does not apply to quantum mechanics, and I'm not even 100% sure it can. But the whole point about Schrodinger's cat, you've got to consider it both alive and dead until you open the box. I don't think. I don't know if it's in sort of a superposed state. I don't know. I don't know enough about it. But this applies to normal sort of everyday logic. So yeah, maybe the laws of logic aren't universal. Maybe they do break down at a quantum level. I get you. Yeah, I don't know, and I'm not sure that we know it all. But yeah, this is sort of how basic logic works. But to say like something's a cat and like it's either a cat or not a cat, but to say that it's something else is the excluded middle, right? Like this excluded middle basically can't exist because something's either a cat or not a cat, and there's nothing outside of that. Like that covers either a cat or not a cat, covers everything in the universe. Like something is either has the properties of a cat or does not have the properties of a cat. That's it. There's nothing else in the universe apart from that. So when he's saying I am the excluded middle, he's basically saying that I'm illogical. I'm a logical impossibility, which is wild. And then he tries to say, then he sort of tries to say, well, you know, you misunderstood me because of the language barrier. I fail to see how. I fail to see how. It's ridiculous. I agree. To say the laws of the universe means we know they apply to the singularity, which we don't. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we don't know for sure. So universals, because I'm a nominalist, I think that universals are kind of labels that we put on things that cover the entirety of our understanding. I don't think they are, like, we don't know for sure if they're universal, because it's like infinite things, right? Like, we haven't viewed the entire universe, right? We've only explored the visible universe, because that's where light goes to. So we can't really say things are universal. Like, there's a problem with fallibility of knowledge there. Have you looked at every single atom to make sure that these are universal? No, we haven't looked at every single atom. So how do you know they are? Again, it's like the Hume's problem of induction. You assume that everything's going to be the same because of the billions and trillions of things that we've found that are exactly the same, and no instances where we haven't. But how do you know that's going to continue? How do we know we're not going to find something which these just don't apply to? We don't. But, after trillions and trillions and trillions of instances, we can say it's incredibly reliable. So yeah, it's weird. It's so weird. Is that all it takes to be an Aussie? Could I get a passport now? What does it take to be an Aussie? No. God possibly exists. So God exists. No. Yes, exactly. So possibility and actuality, and it's so weird. And my favorite part of it was where he said, he sort of said, well, if the possibility of something exists, like if there's a possibility of something, you can't logically, if there's a logical possibility of something, you can't logically say that it doesn't exist. And that to me is wild, because when I asked the question to him, well, does the logical possibility of God not existing, is that logically possible? He's like, well, logic doesn't apply to God. It's like yeet logic as soon as it becomes sort of inconvenient at that point. It's wild. Hey, Big Bad Mama, so good to see you. So good to see you. Yeah, but I had fun. It was wild. It was absolutely wild. The guy was like, he was so bad. Like, seriously. What was annoying too was he was leaning into the microphone, like really leaning in and raising his voice, and people in my audience was sort of going, yeah, that sort of just throws out all the sound levels. Obviously, he doesn't understand that, people have it on a volume and they don't want to hear you shout at you don't want to shout, but you want to lean in and raise your voice, which is essentially the same thing. So I was asking him not to, but he was still doing it because he was acting like a child. Well, to my mind, Phantom, he's basically running something called the ontological argument without one of the steps to it. So the ontological argument basically says that, and if you can follow me with this, it basically says that a perfect being, a perfect being must exist in some possible universe, right? So it's basically saying that if something is logically possible, it must exist in some possible world. Okay, so that's the start of it. If something is logically possible, then it must exist in some possible world. Because a being that exists is more perfect than one that doesn't, if a perfect being exists, then it must exist in some possible world. If it is perfect and exists, then it must exist in all possible worlds, because a perfect being would exist in all possible worlds, essentially. And if a perfect being exists in some possible world, then it exists in this world, and that's supposed to be God. Now, the problem with this is what you're calling some possible world. I don't think some possible world is actually real, right? I don't think it's something that's out there. I think that some possible world is just um, a mental construction of how things could have turned out without violating logic. We can say, hey, it's logically possible that I could have come in and had a tea instead of a coffee, kind of thing. It doesn't violate any logic, but it's also not the real world. I don't think we're talking about real worlds. So I think that the ontological argument is kind of trying to sort of define a God into existence, kind of thing, and define possible worlds to be something real, whereas I just see them as a label we give to a hypothetical of something that could be otherwise. So I don't, possibility does not equal probable. Yeah, or even plausible. It doesn't mean it's even, so something can be logically possible, but physically impossible, right? So, me jumping over the moon is there's nothing logically impossible about it, but it's physically impossible for me to do. So there's all different types of possibility, like this is physically impossible, i.e. it does not conform with the laws of physics. So, but I think I think he's missing the steps of the perfect being in some possible world and just going to, well, if it's logically possible, then that God exists. And that's not how we, but on the converse, when asked, is the non-existence of God logically possible, he says, logic doesn't apply anymore. Yeet, logic, out the window. Yay. Yeah. Isn't that what I said? I'm pretty sure it exists in all worlds. Yeah, but I don't see a possible world as being something that actually sort of exists. I think it's conceptual. I think that it's just a mental construction that we make in order to make sort of give a hypothetical if events or changes were different. Yeah, I get you. No, that's correct. That's correct, Phantom. That is correct. Oh, got you. Oh, got you. Yeah. No, fair. Yeah, deviant. So, yeah, that's the ontological argument, and it really does feel like sort of defining a God into existence as number one being this perfect being, number two defining sort of possible worlds as real things out there somewhere that actually exist in some way. It's wild. Is it not hypocritical saying you accept things being right 99% of the time when man and woman has been accurate, but you want to change it because of feels? I don't know what that means. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea. Like maybe clarify what the hell you are talking about, because I have no idea. Nothing's based upon feeling. What feeling am I changing it based upon? Yeah, it's more based upon sort of our ability to, I don't know, come up with hypotheticals. Even we can do it on computer systems. We can model what ifs on computer systems. There's no reason to think that they are real things. They're just projections of possibility. I don't see why I should consider them real. Yeah, I mean, there's other things, Jessica. There's also, like, I think Hegel came up with the perfect island. Like, just because if the perfect island is perfect, it, you know, would exist in some possible world. If it's perfect, then it will exist in all possible worlds, you know, and so therefore it must exist in this world. But it doesn't. But it doesn't. So, you know, it's kind of weird. Kind of weird. Oh, is that what he's talking about? Man and woman has been accurate. Yeah, no, man and woman isn't male and female, sir. That's a social construct. That is a social construct, and we know that because there's nothing to say that yeah, no, left-handed's right. That they are different things. Okay, well, I might get started on the aimbot. That was weird to bring up, dude. Like, seriously, that was so weird. Oh, that was Guanillo? Okay. Yeah, got you. You're probably right, actually. That was the island guy, yeah. And I don't see anything wrong with the logic of that. So that's sort of a reductio ad absurdum. You put in a contrary and see if it works out. You know, and you can do this with all kinds of things, you know, like, yeah, it's wild. It's absolutely wild. I really, the ontological argument, I don't know anybody that really takes it seriously. You know, it's just an argument that they've come up with. No, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, let's get cracking. Yeah, so if a maximally great pizza is in some possible world, then it must exist in all possible worlds. Therefore, it's in this world. When you put that into context, it can be applied to almost anything, and then it's usually a, well, that's not an agent, that's not a thinking being. It's like, well, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Ducky Doo. First off, now, am I the a-hole for telling our mums they can't join our vacation? I don't think so. Like, seriously, if you're going out to party, I you know, saying to your mum, hey, we want to cut loose without our mums being there, I can't see that as being morally reprehensible or anything. Like, seriously. What? Look, if you're young and you're going out to have a vacation and you're going out to have a really good time, kind of thing, you might not want your mum there. Sorry. I I think it's silly to say hello, Kian Aris. I think it's silly to say it doesn't matter. You could equate a pizza to God, a leprechaun, a unicorn. No, you can't. I never understood this coming from atheists. Well, it's just, so basically the entailments of so it's in response to deduction, right? So deduction is different than induction. Deduction is basically saying there is no other possibility but a God. Right. So that's basically deduction, that I've looked at all of the possibilities and it must be a God. With the leprechaun and unicorn and things like that, we're basically saying, how did you rule these things out? Now, if you're just using induction, you're saying, hey, because the Bible says, or because of these the evidentialist arguments, essentially saying, hey, we've got evidence for a God. It isn't for you if that's what you're doing. It's for the people that say, what do the precepts say? They say impossibility of the contrary, right? Like, God is the only option left deductively because nothing else could have done it. But there's a million things that you could put in there, like a leprechaun, a unicorn, all of these things, these maximally powerful things that are not a God, and they have not ruled them out. They have not shown it to be impossible that they did it. So it is only for the deductive argument, basically, where you say, hey, there's nothing else that could have created the universe except for my God. Well, hang on a second. What about, I think Matt Delahunty used the universe farting pixies, right? Or I've used a magic field that creates universes, right? So how did you eliminate all of these possibilities? Because there's nothing logically impossible about that, as long as you're giving whatever it is enough power to create a universe. Or, you know, in my case, I would use the Blarney Stone, a magic stone with unlimited power, but no agency. All it does is create universes and the laws therein. When you talk about a maximally great leprechaun, or what you have, it's completely botched definition of what a leprechaun is. It's ultimately nonsensical. Yes, but the God concept is a completely botched definition of what a God is. God is not all-powerful in the Old Testament. He gets foiled by iron chariots. He regrets. He gets talked out of things. He makes mistakes. He gets angry. He's not maximally great in the Old Testament. So this whole thing, the theologian is saying that maximally great is being synonymous to God. No, they're not expressing the same thing, because if you have a magic stone, right, and magic can do literally anything, it's all powerful. It's not an agent. And unless you're willing to say, hey, a God doesn't make decisions, and a God doesn't you know, take any decisions whatsoever, like, so has no agency and just does what he does and is unthinking, then a magic stone with the power to create everything and a God are not the same thing, because a magic stone has no agency. All it does is create universes. But it's not because we believe this, Kian. It's saying, how did you rule that out? How do you know it's not any of these things we suggest? Or it is something that we haven't thought of, right? No, because I'm not suggesting a maximally great being. I'm asking you, how do you know that what created the universe is a being? You are begging the question. You are begging the question. You have not demonstrated it's a being. You have not done that. And that's the whole point. You're missing the point of the argument. How do you know there are not multiple magically great beings? How do you know it was your God that did it? How do you know it wasn't a magically great or maximally great force that did it, that's completely natural? How do you know that it wasn't a maximally great magical object that did it? How do you know that? The whole point is you are begging the question by saying, hey, it was a being. There are other options available. And using a deductive argument, you're basically saying it wasn't all of these other things. Can we get back to it? Sure. Okay, so we'll drop it. Yeah, can we drop everything except the session that we're doing? Yeah, because they basically put the God into that space. Absolutely. Okay, my fiance and I are getting married in August. We are in the thick of wedding planning and stressed AF, yeah. Was anybody else's wedding stressful? Mine was a little bit, like it was a tiny bit, but we went super cash on our wedding. Like we went super casual. We basically just went down to a botanic garden, which was gorgeous. It was the middle of tulip season. And so we went down to a botanical garden, and we got married, and by just a celebrant kind of thing. It was a little bit stressful, but not too bad. Not too bad. I think the weirdest thing that happened at our wedding was one of Lynn's friends was wandering around going, oh, your family is so beautiful. They're all so beautiful and handsome and stuff. And I'm like, okay, I don't, okay. That was kind of weird. Photographers were kind of weird as well. I don't know. We had cupcakes at our wedding. It was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. When my travels were working as required 3 free nights at any Hilton property. We booked the Waldorf Astoria in Cabo. Because he is a diamond member, this is such first world problems. Like, I'm sorry, it really is. Because he is a diamond member, yeah, seriously. If you're going to just be bigoted, you can leave now. Can we have some banhammers in the chat? Time to threaten the banhammers. All for free. My dad is a FA. What's an FA? Flight attendant? Flight attendant. I guessed an acronym at some point. Hey, PC. Pragmatic crystal. A pragmatic crystal. Yeah, same applies to you, Karen. I seriously... It's so... Like, go argue with my Blarney Stone example. Okay? Go argue with it. My dad is a flight attendant. We get very cheap flights there. Basically, the entire vacation will cost us about $500. That's really damn cheap. Anyway, both of our mums have asked to join. I don't know about that. Like, you're having a wedding. Is that the honeymoon kind of thing? Both of our mums they are 60 and 70, one divorced, one widow. We are very close to both of them and like each other's mums well enough, but all they do is talk about wedding planning, and them joining would obviously change the dynamic of the trip. Yeah, 100%. We want to be able to have sex, swim naked, do whatever we want. Yeah, it's their honeymoon, dude. You don't take your mother on your honeymoon. Like, come on now. Like, that's what the honeymoon is for. You and your fiance should be able to go out and do that without your mums there. Anyway, I know I shouldn't feel bad, but I do. I feel like we are getting this opportunity of a lifetime that they never had, and we owe it to them to allow them to join. I also think having them there could be fun in a different way. They'd have their own bedroom and can do their own thing, but my fiance really doesn't want them joining and doesn't want to hear about wedding stuff or vacation. Our mums have brought up a few times. Is this like an engagement thing or... Our mums have brought up a few times how they are so jealous and we are so lucky and they wish they could join, and we just sort of laugh it off, but I feel guilty clearly since I'm asking here. Very curious to hear others' thoughts. So my fiance and I and arseholes for saying no. Update. This is not our honeymoon. We are going to Cabo this week. It's a random vacation to use up free Hilton nights that will be expiring soon. We still have a proper honeymoon after our wedding. I don't think so. I don't think anybody really like, I don't know. I mean, I got on very well with my mother as long as I wasn't living with her. I don't know. If I was going away on a trip, I'm not sure I would want my mother-in-law there. I'm not 100% sure. It depends on what it was for, to be honest with you. But I don't think so. I think that, you know, I don't know. I don't think it I don't think how do you know God's not fictional? What if God is fictional? Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I think so. Here's part of it where you may be sort of talking about moral necessity or moral obligation versus sort of moral virtue kind of thing, or sort of a you know, what's morally obligatory, as opposed to not. So, for instance, if you give to charity, you might be morally superior to someone that does not. You might be doing more of a good thing, but it doesn't make the person who doesn't give to charity, like if you don't give to charity, you're suddenly morally bankrupt or something. I don't think that's the case. Whereas if you don't, you know, end anybody, or attack anybody, but somebody else does, then they're immediately morally bankrupt. So I don't think it's a moral necessity. I really don't think so. So yeah, I don't think they're immoral, or they're an a-hole for not wanting their parents to come on their trip when, you know, obviously they plan on doing the sexy, which is fine. You know, I don't have a problem with that. It's just, you know, you might be morally superior if you give up your your, let's call it, fun times in order to cater to your parents. But that, I don't think it makes you morally reprehensible, no. But I don't think anybody else is either. I think this is no one is bad kind of thing. Give me 1 second. I will do the thing. Look, Archer, it's kind of my fault because I engaged. Yeah, I got to learn how to not engage with people that are trying to, you know. So let's just call it here. If you want to debate me on it, my email is on the channel description. It's very cool. You can email me up and ask for a debate, or you can throw in the comments that you want to debate. Just be aware, the last guy didn't do very well. I didn't do very well at all. Yeah. Oh, Robin with the gifted readership. There you go. Thank you so much. And hit J Mike. So congratulations, J Mike. Please enjoy your emotes and other benefits. Winner, winner. Chicken dinner. Awesome. Let's see. And I want to get the poll up. So I want to know what you think, who you think is in the wrong, who you think is in the right. And I do think that I do think that I'm going to do a poll, and I do want to know why you think it's right or wrong, or whatever. I really am interested. Is the poster wrong for vacationing without mothers? I don't know. Vacationing with families always a bit of a, you know what I mean? Like, it's always, it like changed the dynamic of the trip. Yeah, it kind of does, doesn't it? You know, if you're going for a you know, a romantic getaway, I don't know how you're supposed to pull that off with your mother being there. Like, that is not conducive. I feel like there's a stand-up routine lurking in this somewhere. I really do. I feel like that, you know, oh, we went on a romantic getaway and we took our mothers, you know, like there's a stand-up routine raising its head there somewhere. Yeah, Bigfoot Jesus. Okay, let's see what the Redditors have to say. You are not the asshole for saying this, but how did your mothers come to know about this trip? They probably told them, you know, like, how do they come to know that you have a large accommodation? You have to learn to keep your business to yourself. Okay, MC Susie, just like, because we are very close to them, I see them often. It's something we are excited about and we want them to be excited for us. I guess I have a hard time keeping my mouth shut, but also I don't want to. I want to be able to share things I'm excited about. And you should be able to, yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't. Yeah, I don't think they have. I don't think they have. But I'll get to that after this. I'll get to that after this. I'll get through these comments and then I'll get to yours. But yeah, you've got a good point. I think this is an opportunity for you to get closer with your fiance, and you want to be alone with him, and he's the only one you are building your life with, not your mother's. As well as an opportunity to set boundaries. Yeah, that's true. Setting those boundaries is important. Not the arsehole. It's your honeymoon. Well, no, it isn't. Are you referring to it as a honeymoon or a vacation? If you've been calling a trip or vacation around, try changing your language. It is rather awkward to go on someone else's honeymoon. I still think that holds true, even though it's not a honeymoon. If you start saying, hey, it's a romantic getaway, then maybe they will get the point that, hey, you are not, I should have clarified this is now honeymoon, just a vacation to use 3 days. We're going this week. Okay. Not the arsehole regardless. Yeah, exactly. It's a romantic getaway. I mean, they're getting married soon. Not the arsehole. Stop phrasing like a vacation. Start calling it a pre-honeymoon. Tell them that while you love them dearly and would love to plan a proper vacation that can accommodate everyone, this trip is going to be a pre-honeymoon. And you two intend to do what newly married people do. Okay, so call it whatever you want besides a vacation. Your mother's saying this is a trip, not a romantic getaway. Yeah, romantic getaway. I can see why they would want to join a random vacation, so stop calling that and laying down a boundary. I like that. Yeah, absolutely. That is a better way to go about it, because then then they have a greater expectation of what to expect. Yeah, no, I totally get it. Okay, what has the lovely chat got to say? Oh, hey, producer Wes. Sorry, I didn't see you there. You're lurking. Well, you're not lurking, but I'm oblivious. You know me. I'm oblivious. But hello. Good to see you. Missed you. Oz, high five. Pragmatic Crystal. Absolutely. Pragmatic Crystal is amazing. Cupcakes. Yeah. We just did, we didn't want to sort of make it huge, Andrew. Like, that's the thing. Like these traditional weddings and stuff. Hey, good on you. You want to do that? Fantastic. We didn't. We wanted something really close and just close friends and family and something very low key. We didn't want to make a huge deal out of it. We just wanted, a nice small ceremony, and that's all. And that's what we wanted, and that's okay. This feels like a plot for an episode of Seinfeld or Peep Show. You're right, it does, doesn't it? Yeah, it absolutely does. Reed says it sounds like they're taking a break, taking a vacation as a break for planning. I don't think so. I think it's more just opportunistic. It's just they're planning for their wedding, and this is sort of, he'd acquired this and they're about to run out kind of thing. Mum on honeymoon sounds like a Southern family wedding. I hear the banjos. Yeah. Okay. All right. Look, if you're going on a romantic getaway, don't take your family. That's not. Oh dear. All right. Jet, producer Wes, I went to Jamaica for my wedding and had to take my whole family for it, so I didn't get my weekend of honeymoon. Oh, that sucks, Wes. Why'd you have to take your entire family? Because it was the wedding was in Jamaica? Is that why? Is that why your entire family had to come? I don't know. Look, I probably wouldn't do that for a wedding. Like, I might go away on a honeymoon overseas, but I wouldn't have a destination wedding. I think destination weddings are, well, I'm in a bit of a different situation because there's nowhere near me. I'm in a city in the middle of nowhere. Like Perth is really one of the most isolated cities in the world. So popping over to somewhere is a 8-hour flight for me. It's absolutely just wild. Why? Because the wedding was in the destination. That's why. Look, if you're gonna do that, it may be worth, and I'm not saying you have to, but it may be worth, like if you're doing a destination wedding, have the honeymoon somewhere away from the wedding so the parents can't just call in on you all the time. Jessica says, this is tough. There are situations where the more diplomatic solution is preferable, but other times you offer some arrangements so that you don't have to compromise. Yeah, I get you. But I think, where you've got your boundaries and where you've got things that you really want, you disappointing people is always rough, but sort of you've got to, I think that you've got to get over that disappointment at some point, especially with parents, man. Like, I had to overcome disappointing my parents. Like, I'm a disappointment. The thing is that your parents think so highly of you. There's almost no way that you're not going to disappoint them because your parents always think the best of you, kind of thing. They always think that you're perfect and wonderful and, these unrealistic expectations, but you're not this perfect person. You are human and fallible and will screw up and do all of that thing. So disappointment is something that you're going to have to accept from your parents because you'll never live up to their view of you, their what they have in their head, and that's okay. I don't think anybody could live up to what my parents had in their head of what their sons were, like I don't think anybody could do that. Did the parents explain why they want to join the holiday, what they wish to do? Well, I think it's that they're there for the usual sightseeing. I'd have to assume, it doesn't really say, but I'd assume that they're there for, the sightseeing, vacationing, that kind of thing. I'd have a problem if them went on their honeymoon and didn't have fun time. Well, yeah, that would be a bit of a surprise. Bit of a surprise. Would you do a 2-on-2 debate with I and Father James Gadd? I'm still considering it. Maybe a duo would make me feel comfortable. Sure, Wes. If you do want me in there, I'm more than happy to. That's no problem at all, my friend. Like, easy done. I also got to decide if anyone would benefit by you debating a priest. Well, I think that theologians are usually more interesting to debate than apologists. Apologists have their lines of reasoning kind of thing, or their things that they've got, and they rarely deviate. It's usually a much more interesting conversation with the theologian than it is with an apologist. And of course, there's a lot of overlap between them. Yeah, I don't see why not. I don't see really a discussion as being pointless ever. I think the more we discuss and the more we disagree and can articulate it and talk about it, the better off we are. But that's up to you, mate. But I'm happy to. I'm more than happy to. Not a problem at all. The mum should back off. Yeah, well, look, it's not like they've sort of said, hey, we're going or something. It's just they sound disappointed, and they may very well be disappointed. That's the thing. Like, that if they're disappointed, and I mean, even if they say they're disappointed, you can say, yeah, I realize you're disappointed. This is a romantic getaway. We wouldn't, like, if you came, you'd just be uncomfortable, kind of thing. Like, it's okay. People inviting themselves aren't just as people inviting themselves on vacation is weird and presumptuous. Yeah, I don't think that's what they're doing, but you're absolutely correct. Yes. Yeah. People saying, when are you going? Oh, I'm available then. Like, seriously, don't even, like, You know, I don't see, you know, if you want to go on a group trip, you'd be asking people to go on a group trip. I don't know why, you know, I think that even as friends or family, I think that I understand that if somebody's going away on a vacation, I may be part of the reason. Not that they don't love me, not that they don't care for me, not that any of that stuff. But when you go on a vacation, it is to get away from everything, you know, and that may include your friends and family. And there's nothing insulting about that. It's just, you know, that get away from everything and, you know, not have any worries about how people are going to evaluate you, or you've got no responsibility to friends or family. I totally understand that. So I don't have a problem with it. I really don't. Actually, it kind of sounds like it might be up to the dad because he's the diamond member or whatever. Yeah, it may be. I don't think so, though. I think that if you've got a villa, you know, they're going to Cabo, possible shark attack. I don't know where that is. I don't know where Cabo is, actually. That's something I should find out. Where the hell is Cabo? Southern California? Oh, it's Baja. Okay. It's a city in Mexico. Oh, I see. Gotcha. Near San Jose? Okay. San Jose del Cabo. Okay, beautiful. Oh, look. At least you won't have to pay the fucking tariffs. Just saying. Yeah, this is where Cabo is. Down Mexico way. Cabo. So round here. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, interesting. Interesting. Jessica says, I mean, shark attack. Look, you're talking to an Australian. Shark attack, like, you just don't worry about it. You've got more chance of being struck by lightning, seriously. Jessica Bell says, I would offer my parents an alternative plan. Me and my fiance go on our holiday alone, but in exchange, we do something nice for them, e.g. buy a separate holiday, throw a party. Yeah, and that can be more than reasonable, Jessica. No, I get it. I get it. Jeff says, it could be argued I am socially bankrupt for being present here. Sure. Socially bankrupt? Socially bankrupt. Are you saying that, like, you know, okay, socially bankrupt? You know, I don't know. That sort of encapsulates my life, really. Okay, looks like devil's advocate. What if no one was foxy and it's a wedding tradition thing, French, maybe like a megawatt? There's so many of those words I don't know and I'm suspicious of. What the frig is a megawatt? Like, to make one immediately more gay with your mere presence. Wow. Okay. Okay. I've learned something new today. Thank you, Andrew. I think. If they're using up the dad's Hilton nights, he's the one who should probably get partial say. Yeah, I think that's fair, Reed. I think that's fair. You know, maybe he just doesn't care. He just doesn't give a crap. Deviant with multiple posts, 1 out of 2. I refer back to my original comment on this. If it had been a situation where they'd promised them, it'd be very different. But no, you're not obliged to bring your family everywhere. Parenting is never to be used as an extortion thingy. And as a child, you don't have a moral obligation to repay for being brought up. It's the parent's obligation. I 100% agree with that. 100% agree with that. Hillary said, will the mothers be joining the honeymoon festivity? No. They should go to Cabo, says Aunt Jer, and send the mums to Porta Velata or something. Well, if I knew where that was. Oh, so is that up the road or something? That might be a good compromise, sure. Yeah, no, Hillary, stop. Like, seriously. Um, give a priest ammos and gotchas. Okay. I don't know how. I mean, I'm not sure. I you know I try not to worry about that kind of stuff. Yeah, they can always create gotchas and they can always create those sort of ammo for stuff. But if I'm being completely honest, like, they're probably misrepresenting me, and that's on them. I can't stop people from misrepresenting me, Wes. I can't stop that, so I'm just not going to worry about it. Maybe that's an error on my part. Maybe it's a good thing. I don't know, mate. But yeah, if you wanna talk, either email me or I have a Discord if you're more into the Discord thing, because I do like Discord. Jessica says, I think we need more data on the parents. Well, we always need more data, Jessica. We are only getting one side of the story. We always ever do. So that applies to everything. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Are the parents trying to invite themselves onto the holiday using emotional blackmail, or are they just making a friendly, non-judgmental, non-pressure inquiry? Yeah, that's a good point. It's a very good point. If they're sort of going, oh, we would love a holiday and stuff. Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying. It doesn't really say, we don't have that information, but you're right. That would definitely make it easier to. Um, they're so jealous of me, are so lucky, and they wish they could join. So yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe they are sort of, and that would make them absolute arseholes. They shouldn't do that. Yeah. Um, Right, it's for the for you two, not everyone else. Yeah, exactly. Your wedding's for the people having the wedding. If people want to be there, great. If they don't, so what? Archer says people should take the plots of movies and shows and present them as moral dilemmas on Am I the Arsehole? Okay, that's but that's interesting. Although I had a bet with Big Bad Mama, because Big Bad Mama's like, I could make one up and it would be better than these ones and really popular. Like, to say, hey, a lot of them are made up. And I'm like, I don't think that would work. And I won that bet. The Big Bad Mama's post bombed. It to say it did badly is an understatement. It absolutely, like, nobody cared. So I think it's harder than you think. It's harder than. Well, how would you do that? Like, give me a movie. I mean, like, how would you do something like, Predator, for instance? Oh, an illegal alien came in and I'm hunting him across the city. Predator 2. The synopsis of the Predator 2 plot. Like, I don't. Could you imagine something like The Exorcist? My daughter is possessed, and I got a priest to, am I the asshole? Just, I don't know. I wish we had It's Hot as Hell in Jamaica in the summer in a damn tux. Hey, man, like, I'm in Australia and I was in it. Yeah, so I was in a suit. I wasn't in a tux, but I was definitely in a suit. Andrew Christopherson says, first up, I think all Saw movies are immoral, and those who like them are sure leaning over that fence. Look, so the Saw movies, I like the twist on the first one, the very first one. I liked the twist, but it just, I don't think I've really liked anything after that. It was just the same thing we've done over and over and over. And it wasn't amazing for me. It just was, oh, that's a cool twist at the end, kind of thing. I won't spoil it, but the first one, I thought it was a twist. Has someone kidnapped my 56 male daughter, 17 female? I have a particular set of skills. Should I use them to get her back? What if it involves unaliving someone or many someones? Oh dear. Oh dear. Like, that just reminded me of John Wick, I 48 male, recently lost my wife. someone killed my dog. Like, should I go on a rampage? Dear. Andrew says, and don't give me, but there is a plot. Fuck you. You're watching people get tortured and killed. That's sick. Lol, just saying peeps. I don't think that's it. I think it's the I don't know. I think it's the like I get the later ones, but the first one, it is the unraveling of, because in the first one the two people know each other and there's a connection between the two. There's a connection between everybody in it, kind of thing. And I think it is that, like, why are they there? But in the later ones, you know why they're there. You know, they've done something wrong, and you know, I think it's this the first one that's the reason. And don't get me wrong, I didn't find it amazing. It was just, you know, it was one of those movies with a cool twist. It wasn't bad. I didn't think it was horrible. You know. Zin Yu says, Jin Zhu says, perhaps they are, Andrew. People missing the plot due to poor communication skills. Maybe. In Europe, nude braid, nothing strange. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I get you. But it depends what they're comfortable with, not the rest of the population, right? It doesn't matter what your rest of the population are comfortable with if you're not comfortable with it. I mean, I get going to another country and you accept that, but, you know, there's a big difference between accepting that, hey, the French don't really mind, and plus it's not France or Europe, it's Cabo and Mexico. Mexico does have a large Catholic population. Not sure that they might be okay with it, but, you know. Left-handed Jedi. I built a hyperdrive that folds space. The ship using it disappeared on its main flight. Am I the arsehole? What is that? Is that like Voyager or something? What is that, like Event Horizon? I don't know what that is. Yeah, and that's the point, Deviant. Yeah, it's the mother-in-laws is the problem. Yes, you should have been more careful. Okay. Yeah, sure, Wes. Just email me, contact me. Always happy to hear from you, mate. Not a problem at all. Who bathes with clothes on? Well, I mean, you have some clothes. Swimwear is still clothes, Robin. We're not. Like, do you mean like who takes baths? It depends what you're talking about, because when some Europeans say bathe, they sometimes mean sunbathe, right? Like out in the sun. Or, you know, going to the beach, you're bathing. Okay, so it may be a different. We're not talking about taking a bath. We're talking about swimming in the ocean. Visit the old homeland of Sweden. I found out the other day that Sweden make kick-ass artillery. They've got this artillery truck which is insanely good. Like it can like, it's mostly just automated kind of stuff. I've learned that Sweden. This was checking up on, like, I was watching this thing on how Europe is becoming more and more self-sufficient to defense, and America is protesting heavily. And it's like, that's what you wanted. But apparently Sweden is absolutely kick-ass on artillery, I found out. Yeah, exactly. It's not real torture. It's like saying, you know, oh, you watch Alien, you just want to see people ripped apart. You know, that isn't the point. That isn't really the point. Reed says, I missed the part where it's the husband's 3 feet, 3 nights. He's absolutely right to use his extra vacation days any way he wants. Though it's 2-bedroom villa, it pains me to waste an extra room. Yeah, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, it's a romantic getaway's a romantic getaway. You can't do it with your mothers in the next room. Like, it just it's a psychological thing, right? Yeah, Mexico is cool. Reed says, how do you know how many friends, families, vacations I would have tried to invite myself on if it was socially acceptable? I still haven't seen the Disney Star Wars thing. Look, I haven't been to Disneyland, all right? Like, just relax there, Reed. Is that the flight cruise thing? They sort of bill it as a hotel, but it's sort of, you have missions to do, and they sort of role play being in the rebellion kind of thing. I think that's it. I think Lynn watches somebody that sort of that does reviews and stuff. I can't remember her name. Jenny Nicholson. The Star Wars Hotel, is that what you're talking about? Or are you talking about the Star Wars area? I'm really interested now. Yeah, Jenny Nicholson does reviews on that kind of stuff, and she reviewed the Disney things and stuff. She's actually really good. Jessica says, there's a difficult conundrum for me because both my parents don't want to have anything to do with them. Both of my parents don't want you to have anything to do with them. I don't know what it's like to have a mum who's trying to be actively involved in your life. Yeah, I'm so sorry to hear that, Jessica. That sucks. I you know, I think it's a double-edged sword. Yeah, I think that yeah, I mean, parents can be demanding. Parents can be demanding, but you know, I get that it also sucks when parents just are absent. I do. I don't know what you feel like, but I can sort of imagine it resonates with me. My parents worked a lot and didn't have time for kids much, so you know, we were left alone a lot of the time. So yeah, but I don't know what it feels like. That sucks. So yeah, no, that's sad. Gulf of America, no one calls it that. Yeah, no, I don't know anyone that's calling it that. And it's not the Gulf of Mexico anyway. It's on the other coast, but that's okay. Gulf of America. I mean, seriously, it is such nationalist bullshit to go, oh, well, the Gulf of Mexico is now the Gulf of America because we want to have our, like, what the hell is that? I mean, we've got to the north of us the Timor Sea. It's not like we're going, oh, well, now it's the Australian Sea because we're not Timor. What is that? Yeah, but the dad's a flight attendant. Wouldn't the mums be able to take advantage of the same office the poster has? Can they go there without invading their kids' pre-well? Yeah, that's true. And other things will come up. Yeah, you're right. Hello, Tilting Windmill. You finally made it here. Look, it's not an aimbot without the windmill. Robin says, I have made guys gay with my O. I with your O, like your orgasm. Is that what we're talking about? That's weird. That's weird. Oh, with your presence too. Okay, got you. Perth is really in the middle of absolutely nowhere. Your closest hot destination location. Yeah, so it's Bali. People go to Bali from here, and Bali's a massive deal, and that's correct. Hundreds of kilometers away. Yeah, more like thousands. Yeah, thousands. It's 2,619 kilometers. So it's thousands of kilometers away. But yeah, where we are in the middle of nowhere. Thank you. We call it the arse end of the world for a reason. Perth is the world's cul-de-sac. You come to Perth, you're not going anywhere else. It's the terminus of the world. Nobody goes through Perth to anywhere else. Like, seriously, they stop here. I didn't want to be at my own wedding. Robin, I think there's laws against that, mate. Like, you've really got to, yeah, I just, there's laws against that kind of thing. I'll see you, Wes. Take care. Take care, mate. Reed says, I think it would be fun to do a role-play debate with someone playing Charles Xavier and someone else playing Magneto. What, on mutant freedom? Oh, yeah, should mutants dominate humanity? Okay, well, I mean, sure. Event Horizon. It was Event Horizon. Okay, gotcha. Me, 46 pound, was kidnapped by a giant gorilla. Male, a carried mankind to skyscraper. Oh, dear. Well, don't forget, wasn't she part of the expedition that brought it back to, like, so she was on the expedition that brought the giant gorilla back to the mainland, you know? So basically, you are missing out the fact that you were part of the expedition that forcibly removed a gorilla from its habitat. So I think you should include that, really. Sweden has awesome artillery and awesome fighter jets. Okay. Well, the thing didn't mention that. It just sort of said the artillery kind of thing. I think it was called the Archer or something. It was pretty insane. But yeah, no, it's perfectly understandable that Europe wants to sort of, you know, create their own defense industry and become more self-sufficient if America's going, well, you're on your own kind of thing. Like, why are they now protesting it? That is completely beyond me. It's so wild. My pleasure, Windmill. There's also a Marvel's Adventures campus. Oh, so they have got rid of the Star Cruiser. They still have Galaxy's Edge land. Okay, got you. You watch the Jenny Nicholas thing? Yeah. You know, I think she's amazing. I just, like, Lynn Moore watches her. I think she's absolutely nerdy, and I love it. I really do. Details that we only get half the story. Absolutely. Jessica Bell says, I find most horror movies unbearably boring. The ones I enjoyed were Aliens and Tremors because of the sci-fi elements. Yeah, I kind of I found I sort of found most horror movies just like, oh, they're doing jump scares. That doesn't interest me, kind of thing. I think that sort of there are horror movies and then there's horror movies, you know, like I think that there are some that are amazing, some that are just boring as hell. Okay, let's see how the poll went. How did you people vote? But I think we can. I think that most people have agreed that, hey, if you wanna go, you know, you shouldn't feel like you have to invite your parents. Yeah, Poster is doing well. Absolutely. Yeah, I do think the parents, if they're sort of going, oh, we would love to go on stuff like that. I think that that's a problem. I think that that is sort of emotional manipulation and sort of immoral. I mean, they should at least say, hey, but if you want to go alone for a romantic getaway, that's entirely your choice. I totally get it. You know, I think emotionally manipulating people to take you with them or do things for you is not a good thing. Really, you should just ask outright, do you mind if we come with you? And if they say, hey, it's supposed to be for me and them, you say, hey, no problem at all. Like, you know, there seems to be a lack of honesty in people asking for things. And it worries me. You know, it's almost like, well, they can't handle the rejection of somebody saying, no, we're not, you know, that's not what we want to do. But they still want you to do it. So, like, they sort of go, oh, but I would love this thing, kind of thing. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Just ask. Just ask. Just ask. Okay. Let's get another one gone. I'm going to upvote that one. That one was good. I like it. Con is Cranberry. Am I the asshole for not covering my friend's meal when she ordered more? Oh, wow. This is going to be one of those, oh, I offered to pay for her and she ordered the most expensive thing on the menu and I only had a salad, but I'm paying for it and stuff. I don't know. I get that a pattern can emerge that you're like, well, I don't want to pay for it, but why? I don't know. Like it's weird. I wouldn't really worry about it. I think if somebody was buying the most expensive things when I'm paying, but buying stuff that's very cheap when they're paying, I would probably bring it up and say, hey, I think we should pay separately. Like, that would be the best thing to do. I wouldn't, I wouldn't see it as, hey, I'm going to order the most expensive thing when they pay, because that's just going to get you into trouble. But just sort of saying, hey, I've got no problem with it, but, I wouldn't mind ordering separately because I think that we're ordering different levels kind of thing is fine. I don't, but it's been well established that I have no friends, so that may be a problem. I think that's been very well established. So, hey, don't take my word for it. Definitely not. So me and a group of friends went out to eat after midterm. Yeah, very young. It was, unless they're talking about midterm elections, but I presume they mean midterm things. It was a casual place where you pay at the end and everyone was ordering whatever they wanted. I got something small as usual because I'm trying to save some cash. So I had water and a basic pasta that was on special. A few others did the same. But one of my friends ordered an appetizer, a big entree, and dessert, and she got a drink too. No judgment. She can do her, but it definitely added up. When the check came, she suddenly goes, let's just split it evenly. No. No. I don't see why you would do that. I was like, what? I thought we were all paying for what we ordered. She said it'd be easier, and that's what we always do, which is not true, by the way. Well, that's not true. No, she's just trying to get her expenses covered by everybody else. Like, seriously. You can just say, hey, you guys can do that. I'm just going to pay for mine. I'm going to pay for mine. I told her I only brought enough for what I ate plus tip. Okay, so tipping. What the hell? Who was high when they thought up that? Like, seriously. America's tipping stuff is so terrible, so horrible. Like, it's like, apparently the minimum wage in these tipping places, it's like $2.15 or something. Like, are you high? People can't live off that, and sort of expecting people to tip in order for you to live. It's just so wrong. It's so wrong. Like, holy crap. Like, it means that if you have like a bad week where people are, in a bad mood, or, there's been a downturn slightly, you're absolutely screwed. I don't mind leaving a tip for good service or something like that, but you know, people should be paid a fair minimum wage, not like, oh, you have to rely on the generosity of your customers just to be able to pay the rent. That is so screwed. I'm sorry. That is wrong. That is so wrong. That is essentially what that is it is externalizing the cost of employment to the customer and not the business, which is wrong. It's so wrong. I told her I only bought enough for what I ate plus a tip. She rolled her eyes and says it's not that deep and I'm being cheap over a few bucks. But it wasn't a few bucks. It would have almost doubled what I was planning to spend. Yeah, exactly. I didn't budge and paid for my stuff only. Now my other friends don't care and split the bill evenly. Now she's being super passive. presume passive aggressive, and told our other friend that I embarrassed her in front of everyone and made her look greedy. But like she assumed we'd cover part of her extra food without even asking. Am I the asshole? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's a lot of places in Australia that don't accept that they won't share bills. You pay for your individual, what you get, or they won't split the bill or whatever, and that kind of sucks. And I definitely dislike it. I think that splitting the bill, you really should go in knowing that. If you don't know that, then it's tough crap. You should have brought it up before you ordered, not after. Yeah. I really think that is that's her friend's fault. Like if you didn't say, hey, we're gonna split the bill evenly, then tough shit. Like seriously. I don't know why you should be paying for other people. You made her look greedy. No, she didn't. She just paid her own damn way. Like, I don't understand. It's so weird. It's so weird. Let me get the poll up. Yep. Should the poster have not should the poster have split the total bill for group? And the problem with splitting the bill, like, here's the problem. One of my main problems is I've been in a group where I don't really know anybody, and it's agreed that like it we'll split it 16 ways or 12 ways or whatever. I can't remember what it was. And then someone, we don't know who, just didn't contribute. Everybody said, hey, I put mine in, and somebody didn't. And that was awful, right? That was horrible. We basically someone had to cover it, kind of thing. Because people were leaving, and it's just like, yeah, well, I paid my part, and everyone's saying they paid their part, and we're down one amount basically, which sucks, and it kind of is someone's just gotten away with, mooching off the rest of us. And we're pretty sure it was somebody's sort of fiance that we didn't really know that well, but, how do you prove that? And it really sucks. So everybody had to chip in, another couple of dollars to cover them, kind of thing, which sucks. I like just paying for myself. I don't know. I don't have a problem with her doing that. If she says, hey, I bought enough for my stuff, I don't have enough for everything. Yeah. Here's an option. If you want to don't look greedy, don't be fucking greedy. How about that? How about that? Like, she embarrassed you in front of everyone. Well, no, she didn't. No, she didn't. She just paid for her own fucking meal. I don't understand how that's a problem. Yeah, she assumed we'd cover part of her extra food without even asking. Yeah, she didn't even ask. She didn't even make sure. Yeah, people get taxed on it. Let's see. What have the people got to say? Individual ad, not the arsehole. Like you, I hate it when people order big and then assume everyone will split the big bill evenly. The best way to deal with this is announce at the start that everyone should take track of their own expenses so they can pay what they owe at the end. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Good idea. I should just say it before ordering, because I thought everyone would just order their own and pay their own bill. Yeah, and that's where assumptions can get you into trouble. Not the arsehole. You didn't make your friend look greedy. She made herself look greedy. She knew exactly what she was doing. She just made that someone didn't blindly fall in. She's just mad that someone didn't blindly fall into a trap. Don't put up with their nonsense. Yeah, I think she tried to give pressure, so some just down to pay evenly. For me, I was like, nah, which is fair enough. Fair enough. Not the arsehole. It would have been one thing if you all ordered the stuff that amount to approximately the same, but you didn't. She then said it's not that deep. Well, if she feels that way, she can freaking pay for her own stuff, right? Who would like to pay extra? Yeah. Absolutely not the arsehole. She did nothing wrong by ordering, eating what she did, but expecting anyone else to chip in to cover your tab without any prior arrangement will always and forever be an arsehole move. Yeah, absolutely. That's true. Like, if you want people to split a bill, say so at the start. Say, hey, guys, we're splitting this, right? Like, you know, like, it's not hard to do. It's not hard to do. What have you lovely people got to say? Barely up. Severe insomnia. I'm sorry to hear that, Tooting. I get insomnia as well, my friend. I conk out, you know, occasionally as well. I get what you're saying. Reed says, my favorite horror movie is Annihilation. That wasn't bad. It had really interesting sort of design choices and things. That was the one with Natalie Portman, right? Which Natalie Portman is always a win in my book. I think she's fantastic. But yeah, it wasn't bad, was it? It was pretty damn good. I did enjoy it. I think that maybe there was a couple of problems with it, but you know, all in all, it was a very good movie. I did enjoy that movie. Yeah, I'm with you. Look, the horror movie that has scared me the most recently, over the last couple of years or so, has been Hereditary. And that is it's more disturbing than scary, but oh boy, it is freaky disturbing. It really is. It absolutely is. Not an easy watch. The first 5 minutes of John Carpenter's The Fog is brilliant. Is that like The Mist? Is that like The Mist? Because I know Mist is Stephen King. And the ending of The Mist, like the Mist is okay as a horror movie. It's okay. It's just the ending is so brutal. It is the most brutal ending I've ever seen in a movie. Just the ending is, oh, that is rough. The ending is rough. It's like, wow, if you know what I'm talking about, you'll know. The ending of The Mist is like, no. Nothing makes you feel more uncomfortable than someone offering to shout me. Yeah, Jessica. Oh, by the way, shout in Australia means someone pays for you, by the way. That's an Australianism. I'm not sure if everyone's familiar with it. If you say, hey, shout me a meal, you're saying buy me a meal, like you pay for it. If I shout Jessica Bell a drink, I'm buying her a drink, basically. So, yeah. That's what shout means. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. There's no explanations for why in Australia. There only is. There is and is not. There is no why. Yeah, Andrew does on my Discord server, and Art Chair's fantastic and puts it up there. He posts his art a lot, and it's really good. Tilden Wilmer says, I freaking hate people who split tabs evenly. So aggravating. I don't mind at all. If it's roughly the same and I'm not fussed and people want to do that, sure. But usually they'll say up front, you know, hey, we splitting this. Is that okay? It's like, yeah, sure. And you know, I wouldn't do it with just, this sounds like it's a group. She doesn't particularly know that well, you know, like I don't know if I would do that with sort of school friends kind of thing. I'd only do it with family and my closest friends, right? Like, and even family, some usually one person will just cover it. I'll just cover it and turn to, you know, in between. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. They invented tipping because restaurants want an excuse not to pay minimum wage. Yeah, Reed, I agree. I agree. It's horrible. Jessica Bell says, my American friends are always shocked when I tell them I earn the Australian equivalent of $16 per hour. Yeah. Minimum wage here, like Australia has the highest minimum wage in the world, and that is because we are union strong. Like unions are a big deal over here. There's a reason why our staff and the people doing very hard jobs are not treated like shit. And a thing that I have is that I do not look down at my servers. There's no way. I was shocked. I was shocked. I went to the Netherlands and there was this American couple there. Admittedly, they were pretty old, but they were just ordering the tone of voice that they ordered this server to in this sort of, I think it was like it wasn't really a cafe. It was sort of one of those meal places kind of thing. I was shocked at how rude they were to their server. Like, seriously, go get me a this. It's like, wow, okay, you're just ordering that poor woman around. I was shocked. I would never, like me, I'm like, could I please have a this, or could I have, do you mind fetching me out? Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just, I never look down on serve. It's a hard job. People deserve to be paid at a fair wage. Tipping means that you have to put up with abuse and lick the boots of your abuser in order to get enough money to pay the bills. Yeah, I kind of agree. You're entirely reliant on the goodwill of people who may or may not be good people, But then again, just refusing to tip doesn't solve the problem either. Like that doesn't, these people need that money. So not tipping, although you see it as a big mid-digit to the industry, it more just affects that person. So it kind of, it's really evil. It's horrible. It's also justified because you don't have to declare tips as income. Do you have to report them somehow? I don't know. I've never worked in a place where you didn't just pocket it. Right. So Reed, one of the big things that Trump sort of said, he was going to take away tax on tips. So tips are taxed, yes. And there might be the tips might be shared by the servers with the staff that aren't out on the floor, like the dishwashers and people like that. So they actually split it up and then they sometimes share tips and then get a portion of those tips back, which is just wrong. Just wrong. Andrew says, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Tilton says, I know too many people like this that drive up the bill and then want to split evenly. I had to pay all my luxuries as a teen when all my friends were well off or were given their luxuries. Yeah, same here. Same here. Seemed pretty simple to me. The friend is the arsehole not being or acting as a friend at all. She, the friend, comes off as manipulative and egotistical, kind of narcissistic, really. Yeah. Reed says most well-managed restaurants now, at least in California, require servers to report earned nightly, partly because restaurants have to assure minimum wage is being attained every day. Well, yeah, but that minimum wage should come from the profits of the restaurant, not from, the customers. Like you're just even if the prices have to go up. See, here's the crazy thing, that in the states and areas where they've implemented sort of a larger minimum wage and basically no compulsory tipping, a lot of people will tip anyway. They don't mind doing it because they've had good service. That's the thing. But to offload that onto the responsibility of the restaurant onto the customer, it sucks. It's terrible. It's terrible. Reed said, I only worked in a family restaurant as a minor, so yeah, I just pocketed. Don't feel guilty either. Yeah, I kind of agree. Although, if the staff who are doing the dishwashing and stuff are also being underpaid, and the tips are supposed to make up for their shortfall as well, then yeah, I would see that as immoral, because the restaurant should be paying them a decent wage as well. Black Swan was awesome. I agree. I was a server like 35 years ago. We did too, although I did report some taxes. Yeah. Same with it's Midsummer. Yeah, Luke, I know the one you're talking about. Midsummer was in, you've never heard shout before. Well, now you have. You've learned an Australianism. Well, I'll shout you I'll shout you a beer, mate. And if you come to Australia and you say, hey, do you want me to shout you a beer? And they say, yeah, you can buy them a beer. There you go. You've learned something. Awesome. Who said this wasn't educational? Me, mostly me. Absolutely mostly me. But, if you want to mindfuck with the Japanese movie, The Audition, I love Japanese horror. I really do. Japanese horror is different than Western. Western's all about, jump scares and sudden things and grotesqueries kind of thing. Like, oh, that's horrible. Japanese horror is different. It's more like being stuck in a situation that you can't get out of. It is that sort of hopelessness stuff. And it's very different, but I really do like it. Deviant Outcast says, oh, that explains it. I thought you meant shoot. And then I thought, who's trying to shoot you? And does it have an off-duty? Lots of questions have now been answered. Yeah, it was the pancake place. It was the pancake place. You're right. So if for those unaware, that is my wife, and she was there with me. She wanted my American pancakes. Okay, well, she's not fucking getting them. Look, okay, I know this isn't true of all Americans, but they were talking to us and they're like, oh, you're Australian. And they basically just said, well, you're all criminals over there. And it was just like so rude. They were so rude people, like just horribly rude. Tilting says, okay, sure, if everyone ordering the same, fine. Yeah, no, I totally with you. But don't order 2 margaritas and dessert while I drink water and only have a salad. Yeah, exactly. Can't wait to check out your stuff. Really hope I can figure out the app. Yeah, so Tilting, Discord's a funny place. Look, just so basically it's just sort of all you need to know is that it's rooms on the side and then sort of like bits and pieces in there. So yeah, it's a bit of it is a bit of a steep learning curve, I must admit. Reed says, as a millennial, we'll always accused of being entitled, but nobody's more entitled than a large subsection of American baby boomers. Yeah, and that's what gets me. I do not see millennials as entitled at all. They're basically saying, hey, things were so much easier for these baby boomers, and now that they've cornered markets on things, they've left nothing left for anybody else. You're right. That's what they've done. Like, that's not... my generation was the last to be able to get any corner on that market. And now sort of it's like, well, tough shit. And it's like that, being able to buy a house is not entitled. It's not. You work hard, you build up finances, you should be able to get a fucking house, like seriously, or at least, buy property of some sort. Like, you're not entitled for saying, hey, it's ridiculous that we can't. Sweden doesn't have a legislated minimum wage because we have such a strong tradition of unions and uniasa, however it's spelled. They're very much almost like a second government. Oh, okay. Interesting. It makes me not want to go out. Any place to charge mandatory trips, I walk out before ordering. Well, at the same time, that affects the people there kind of thing. I just, I like Australia because the price is the price and, the people are being paid a livable wage. You go out, you go down to the restaurant and you can go, okay, well, they can survive on this. They're not going to be starving or relying on anything else. If they're really good service and want to leave a tip, great, but nobody expects it. Nobody does. They might have a jar out for your change or something, completely voluntary, and nobody says anything because, if they wanted more money, just factor it into the price when you go in there. Just relax, like seriously. Tilting says, I had split my tip with off floor employees by pitching in a buck or two. Then we all had to give 1/4 or 1/3 to our tips as our bus staff. Yeah, and that's what I've heard. I think it was a John Oliver thing on tipping. He made some really good points. Really good points. Deviant says also, if your income doesn't amount to what's considered basic living standards, food, housing, TV, internet, newspaper, you're entitled to social financial support. Yes, and that's where the social safety net is something that Europe is doing fantastic on, Australia less so, and America is failing abysmally on. You can't get to a working, happy country without some sort of social safety net for people. I don't think you can. But yeah, Sweden, absolutely amazing place. I'd love to visit Sweden someday, but I'm sure it will be so cold, and I do not like the cold. I hate the cold. The cold sucks. Reed says, I'll place a blanket statement of surprising people with financial obligations without their consent through no fault of their own is immoral. But the American economy kind of runs on that thing. Yeah, Reed. I'm not even sure the American economy is running on that kind of thing at all at the moment. Like it's headed downhill. Luke says, yeah, the job is miserable. The managers are always against you. The cooks can be a-holes. I've experienced the full gamut in this country. Oh, that's a shame. Yeah, that's a shame. Look, it shouldn't be the staff against the managers against, it really should be all of the workers are together. Like, that's the thing. There's no easier way to make a business non-operational than this us versus them mentality. At the end of the day, you're all after the same thing. If your employees are well paid, they will do a good job. And if they do a good job, it's better for your business. I wish more business owners would look at it like an investment into the success of their business than this thing that they have to avoid doing. It's terrible. It's terrible. You're all crazy socialist, Marxist, communist, woke people over there. Yeah. Well, if that's what they are, then bring on more of it because they're doing really, really well. Really well. Reed says Australians are all criminals. You respond with them. What percentage of the population is incarcerated again? Yeah, largest per capita of incarcerated citizens is the US. It's it's crazy. My dad was chairman of union, a strike captain. When our city went to non-union, he tried to immigrate to New Zealand back in the 80s. Now here I am trying to follow it through with it now. Good luck, Reed. Good luck. Reed also says when your city goes non-union, they also conspire to keep union higher-ups from getting employment again. Yeah. Deviant, from what I understand, you're meaning most of Europe is right wing is akin to our left. So I'd consider that pretty damned lucky at this point here. I mean, yeah, tilting. And the same is true of Australia. The Liberal Party seem like the Democrats to me, and they're our Conservative Party. Probably not as much as in Sweden, but yeah, kind of. I do apologize, everyone. I'm going to do one more and then go. Let's see. Nope, that's an ad. Ferret, huge ferret, 9560. Am I the arsehole for keeping a relationship with my brother's ex-wife when they have 2 kids together? Am I an arsehole for keeping a relationship with my brother's ex-wife when they have 2 kids together? No, that's the kids are your nieces or nephews, like, really. I mean, I don't really think that that's an arsehole worthy thing. I mean, you've got a relationship with them, right? You're their uncle, if or aunt, if I don't know whether they're male or female. But I don't think so. I think that he may not want a relationship, and that's entirely fine. Okay. My brother was married to his wife for 14 years and has 2 boys, 10 and 12. Their marriage struggled a lot, but they made it last for that long. Yeah, probably because of the kids. I became super close with his wife, and she was a wonderful wife and mother to him. Well, I mean, she was a wife to him, mother to her children. Let's face it. Okay, but let's yeah, but there. What kind of relationship? That's a good point. That's a good point, Jedi. I know for a fact my brother cheated on her in the past, even though he won't admit it to me. I'm also 99% sure he left his wife for his current girlfriend, although he won't admit that either. The divorce has been nasty and restraining orders against him have been in place and everything. They can only speak about the boys. Wow, okay. He is not a nice person. Recently, myself, aunt of the boys. Okay, so she is an aunt. No, I don't think so. And my mother, grandmother of the boys, made plans to get together with the children and the ex-wife. These plans included staying the night at our house because they live out of town. My brother found out and blew up. He was super pissed off, but we were firm that this was not fair for the children and the kids deserve to see everyone get along for their sake. Absolutely. So what this basically is some person sacrificing the upbringing of the kids for their own ego. Like, it would be better for your boys if you and your ex-wife got along and, you know, sure, you can't be in a relationship, but at least had a relationship where you can talk to one another, especially at 10 and 12. If they were like 18, 19, I'd understand how you never talk to them, don't want to talk to them, you know, F off, basically. I totally understand that. But at 10 and 12, there's going to be things you're going to have to talk about, like being able to pass on information. Oh, you know, Billy's not doing good at this thing. You know, he's having trouble at school. How do we, you know, what kind of thing can we do to help him? Like that kind of stuff. You know, this is ego getting in the way of your kid's upbringing. It's not right. She's doing the right thing in having a relationship with the mother of your nieces and nephews. But, you know, she's right. The kids deserve to see everyone get along for their sake. Look, you don't have to be best friends, but, you know, at least having that cordial experience just, it's terrible. My brother talks shit about their mother often, even in front of them. Oh, that's terrible. And we always vowed not to take sides for the sake of the kids. Yeah, that sucks. Of course, everything escalated. Our other sibling called me, basically telling me we were terrible. What the hell? The grandmother of boys? Their mother needs to lay down the law here. How it was selfish to do this to our brother, and how dare we pick the ex over family. I'm really sorry, but the ex is family. You know, that she doesn't stop being the mother of your nieces and nephews or whatever it is just because, you know, the kids, you're their aunt. Basically, wow. At this time, the family is split and my brother wants nothing to do with us, and neither does my other siblings, apparently. Am I the arsehole for letting my brother's ex-wife stay at our house with our kids? Should we not have any sort of relationship with her? In my mind, it's best for the kids to each part of the family, get along and not hate each other. The divorce has been very traumatizing for both of them. No, I think she's doing the right thing. She's absolutely doing the right thing. Look, okay. So, you know, I've got a brother. He has a wife. If he broke up with her in that horrible divorce, I would be entirely sympathetic towards him. I would probably still talk to her, and, you know, if she's got my nieces and nephews, she is still my my sister-in-law, basically. Like, I don't see that I would just cut ties with her immediately because she divorced my brother. She's still the mother of people that are in my family, so by extension, she's still family. That is horrible. That is absolutely horrible. Oof. And the fact that if he talks sort of about her to the kids and sort of the last poll, Poster is doing well. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. If he talks crap about her, that's really wrong. That is really wrong. It really does sound like he is an egotistical prick who basically cannot, you know, if he can't have her, then he's going to destroy her. Get out of here, man. Like, seriously. ETA, I want everyone to think who commented and gave reassurance. Severing with my brother isn't the end of the world. I'm so disappointed at the behavior. Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, I'll put out the poll, but man, this does not seem like a, you know, oh, is this moral or not? I mean, come on. Look at the harm you're going to do to the kids here. And here's the thing, like, I get that it hurts breaking up with somebody, right? I get that. But you know, is it going to be like, what does it really serve you, you know, being awful to them afterwards? You know what I mean? Like, you're going to have to interact with them. They're the mother of your children. You're going to have to interact with them somehow. Like, through either, you know, lawyer or something, you're going to have some contact with them. So you're not doing yourself any favors, and you're not doing your kid any favors behaving like this. I am so, like, I really am looking at it like, what human well-being does this get you to? It doesn't. All it does is, like, it doesn't do anything for you. It doesn't do anything. You know, I understand that you're upset, but, you know, if you need to, get counseling and deal with it and move on. Like, I don't get it. You've already got a new girlfriend who apparently you were seeing before you even broke up with her. Like, nobody wins out of this. Like, you've got a new girlfriend. You're out of it. You know, I don't know what he wants from her now. Is the poster terrible for having relationship with brother's ex-wife? You know what? I think absolutely not. And I think that because that is good for human well-being. That you know, like, if like, just say the wife, the ex-wife, has had a traumatic break through divorce as well, a horrible divorce. If she breaks down and not supported and feels terrible and, you know, is treated like crap by the family, that's going to be bad for the kids. Like, there's no reason why you've got to be a prick to her, because it will ultimately hurt the children, who you say you want to help, kind of thing. Like, I don't, you know, is he also saying, oh, my mother is terrible for, you know, get out of here. Like, seriously. Unfortunately, they'll only associate themselves with people that are on their side 100% of the time and support them to the bitter end. That is terrible. That is that whole thing of, well, if you're not with me, you're against me. No, that's not true. That whole sort of black and white, if you're not with me, you are my enemy. People have got to stop thinking that way. We can disagree with people and still be friends, be on their side. It can happen. This happens with all the friendships and everything. However, I'm the person who'll tell you when I feel like you're leaning on the wrong side a bit and urge people to see the other people's point of view. And it's always pure love. Regardless, it's okay if we're the bad guy here. Children will always come first no matter what, and I'll be there, ride or die forever. One day kids will figure it out, and I hope that when that happens, they know we were always on their side because they matter the most. Ugh. Yeah, because the dad's probably, like, you know, hassling his sister as well, like, sort of saying, hey, your sister is just, you know, supporting this evil witch. Oh, that's heartbreaking. That's terrible. At least she still has contact. I mean, and now that she hasn't, you know, gotten on board with the guy's sort of totalitarian requirements, you know, it's kind of like, well, the only context you'll have with her nephews are through the ex-wife. So why wouldn't she maintain that relationship? Oof. Lemon Charlie says, not the asshole. Your brother can't claim any moral high ground, past or present, and he's actively engaging in parental alienation by bad-mouthing his ex in front of their kids. Absolutely wrong. So wrong. Look, my parents were divorced. They would never do that. And, you know, my father was pretty absent, you know, but he never, you know, he never was like, oh, your mum's a horrible person or anything like that. No way. No way. They would talk and maintain a cordial relationship, even though I knew that they disagreed on a lot of things, but you know, they would never do that in front of the kids or like sort of say, you know, I remember them saying, hey, we both love you. We might disagree on a lot of things, but we won't disagree on that. And, you know, I cannot tell you how reassuring that is for a child going through divorce, right? That's what they both sat down and said together, you know, that we can't be together anymore. We disagree on a lot. We don't agree on a whole bunch of things, but we will never disagree that we both love you. Sometimes that's the best you can get, but that's, you know, who needs incentive not to badmouth the kid's husband, the kid's mother or the kid's father in front of the kids? Like, seriously, come on now. You and your mother being neutral for the benefit of the kids is what should be happening rather than putting the kids in the middle of hostilities. Absolutely. Yeah, upvote this. Document as much as you can for the inevitable custody hearing. Your sister-in-law needs all the support she can get. Yeah. Yeah. And if your brother doesn't want to act like family and your sister-in-law is acting like family, people are family that act like family. Underline that. If your brother is being a prick and not acting like a family member and your sister-in-law is, then she is your family and he isn't. Don't give me this blood runs thicker than water crap. Family is people that act like family. Family is people that take care of each other like family does. Sorry, I'm better at maintaining a mature civil relationship with your ex than you, bro. Yeah, okay, well, I'd probably leave off the bro, but that is accurate. That's really crappy for you. Must be tough not knowing how to be pleasant. May I suggest therapy? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, that will just cause more hostility. I'd probably put in a bit more diplomatic language than that. But yeah, the kids whose worlds are falling apart, they need you to provide as much stability as possible, and hostilities and not talking and bad mouthing, that is not going to do it. Not the asshole. Your mum and you need to keep the relationship with his ex because at the rate he's going, he'll lose visitation with the kids. You don't want to never see your nephews again. Those who don't see he was a crappy husband and is being even a crappier co-parent can mind their own business. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. But, you know, I think that there's an attitude of sort of this whole bro code is can be really, really toxic, you know, like, and no matter what the guy's doing, you got to stand with the bros. No, that's not true. That's not true. If I've got a friend and they're, you know, treating a woman like shit, I'm sorry, I'm not standing with the bros. I'm going to ask him what the fuck he thinks he's doing. Like, seriously, this whole thing of, you know, you got you know, bros before hoes kind of thing. It's just like, yeah, okay, I get the sentiment that you should be loyal to your friends, but not under all circumstances. Not when they're doing harmful crap to other people. No, that's where you pull them aside and say, "Hey, man, you are so out of line." Like, seriously, like his bros should be saying, "Hey, man, I know she's your ex, and I know there's a lot of trauma there, but you got to think of your kids, and you got to, you know, provide a stable environment for them. And what you're doing is so far out of line." And she's a human being too. Like, you know, this whole thing, like, I will stand with my bros, but if they're doing the wrong thing, sometimes doing the best for them is pulling them up on their shit. I'm sorry, it is. You are not the arsehole. He absolutely is. I had something similar with my ex. I left him when I was pregnant with our youngest. Oh, that's rough. You left him when you're pregnant. Look, sometimes you got to. Sometimes you got to. If that's the best for you, and that's the choice that is best for you, support. His parents lived 300 miles away. I'm disabled and sick. They could just as easily visit me as I could them. When they visited, it was usually for a day or overnight. When I visited, it was usually for a weekend. Single parent going to school and working. I told them when I left my ex, it was important that they still be able to see grandkids. I wouldn't let him have the kids until I was ordered to by a judge due to narcissism and abuse, and he would just take the oldest out of school whenever he wanted and returned him whenever he wanted until I gave him court papers. I told them, parents, that I'd be happy to drop them, not baby, off for the weekend, baby a few hours at the time until she was older, and I would stay in a hotel to lessen conflict. The hell you will stay in this house. We love you, and that's his problem. He needs to figure that out. He found out, gave him the ultimatum, me or him. Mother-in-law just said no and hung up. Wow. See, that's what I mean. Like, seriously. I was there for that phone call. We threatened again, followed up with, I'm going to get evicted and I need you to give me money. His dad laughed and hung up. He eventually got over it when he realized they were not going to give him any kind of... What is this story? Holy crap. I loved his mother. She was the second mother to me, and my parents loved her as well. We could have cared less about his dad. Yeah, that's probably we couldn't have cared less about his dad, because if you could have cared less. Sadly, they both died a year later due to illness. Luckily, he's much better now. He's still an asshole, but better than before. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Like, you may feel, you know, you're in a divorce. It's horrible now, but looking back on it, it's not going to be as bad as you think it is at the time. Okay. Yeah, no, that's a long story, and that sucks. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see. Oh, Left-Handed Jedi member for 15 months. What are you doing? That's a year and a quarter. A year and a quarter. Sir, hang on. See, I hate this. It's so terrible. Like, seriously. Why didn't that play? There we go. It just never plays. Like, it never plays right. There. Anyway, I have a very delayed applause, Left-Handed Jedi. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Best horror flick growing up, The Horror of Dracula? Is that Bram Stoker's, the one with Gary Oldman? Because that wasn't that scary, I don't think. Is that a different movie? I don't know. Have I seen that? Oh, that's the old... Oh, that's Christopher Lee's. Okay. Yeah, right. Was that in black and white? Like, seriously? Oh, no, it is color. Okay. Gotcha. Well, no, that wasn't me growing up. You're older than I am, mate. But yeah. Aunt Jess says, the ex-husband sounds like an abuser. He does, doesn't he? Yeah. I mean, we don't know for sure, but he does. If he's blowing up over them having a relationship with his ex. Yeah. Yeah. You know what? And I don't think I've had, don't get me wrong, I've never had a divorce, so that might be different. But I've never had an ex that I'm like, oh, I hope they do badly. And I hope, you know, nothing like that. Even if I'm upset at, you know, I've been dumped. I've been, you know, had a relationship ended on me and stuff. And I wish the best for them. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm naive, but, you know, it just sounds like ego. Deviant Outcast says, yes, that's abuse. Yep, very much. According to Swedish laws and practices, it's considered abuse. That's fair. That's fair. Left-Handed Joe says, a healthy relationship is always good. Don't use the kids as weapons. Absolutely not. Tilting Windmill says, this is easy. The brother and other are awful people. Yep, absolutely. Deviant Outcast says, child abuse, that is. Turn into Yoda for a second. Child abuse, that is. But it's abusive towards the mum as well. Ex-hubby's not just an arsehole. He's an abusive arsehole. Yeah, absolutely. 100% agreed. Jessica says, going through divorce as a kid can be very mentally damaging. Yeah, no, I can attest to that. The two most important people in your life are consumed with spite and hate. There's nowhere safe for you to go, anyone to talk to. Yeah, I think that absolutely can be the case. I think that at the time when my parents divorced, I thought it was the end of everything, and there was it was horrible, absolutely horrible. Later in my life, I realized it was for the best, but getting through that, like, I was lucky that my parents were at least reasonable about it, and that's all that you ask, that they're reasonable, and just tell the kids, hey, number one, this isn't your fault, and number two, we're both going to be here for you, and I guess number three is we both love you still. That's really what you need to tell your kids if you're divorcing, because that at least they can go, well, they're still my parents, right? They're still they might be separate, but they're still my parents. Aunt just says they don't just hand out restraining orders for no reason. This guy is dangerous. Well, okay, so restraining orders, and I've heard this a lot from guys. So guys, if you're listening, restraining orders are given out, preventative restraining orders. You might not necessarily have done anything, right? So restraining orders are applied for if you think that somebody may harm you, kind of thing. It is best to have a restraining order and not need it than not have a restraining order and need one, right? That's the way that it works. So these guys going, oh, the court just put out the restraining order even though I didn't do anything. Yeah, if she claims that she's in fear, then yes, they will, because it's better to err on the side of caution. So I don't have a problem with that. If I'm not doing anything, then why do I care about a restraining order? I don't care. It's more just the ego talking, quite frankly. I just, it's possible that he didn't do anything and they worked off her word. It is possible. But at the end of the day, we have to do that because there's so many guys out there who are abusive. And this guy does sound abusive. This guy does sound like he could be very abusive, at least psychologically abusive. I don't know about physically. Tilting says the ex-wife is the agreed person in the relationship, not the blood brother. He should sit down and shut the fuck up. Yeah, well, some people aren't like that, Tilting. Some people are like, yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't think I can judge who is aggrieved and who is not. I don't think it's my business in a relationship to start saying that. I don't know. But yeah, you would expect that if I was the one that cheated, I would not be acting like this. Absolutely. I would be. But mind you, if that happened, which, I want it never to happen, but if that happened, I would be absolutely like, this is my fault and I take responsibility. But, obviously there's guys out there who are basically like, nothing's my fault and how dare you leave me? How dare you leave me, who is amazing? Like, get the hell out of here, man. Seriously? You're not that amazing. Aunt Jo says, when people don't take the signs, yeah, I get you. Yes. Yeah, I get you. Which is why the courts need to, if a woman claims that they need a restraining order, the court does it because, even on the off chance that it is needed, err on the side of caution. Jessica Bell says, what every divorced kid really needs is a cool aunt or cool uncle. They're involved in the fight. They're someone who will always retain their confidence and secrets, a safe person to confide in. Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, that would be really cool. Toady Windmill says, a prick to both the aunt and grandmother. The brother is insane. Yeah, like when you're going up against your mum, think twice. Like, at least, I'm not saying that she's right, but at least sit back and have a consideration there. Kian says these situations are so complex, it's really hard to judge it. The guy could have had half his shit taken away in his vehicles, his house. Who knows? That's why I'd rather not comment. Well, we can only comment on the information that we're given and that we're presented. Why wouldn't the guy have half his estate? at least the half that they made while they were in the marriage split up. That's perfectly legal and perfectly moral, in my opinion. If two people are married, he's out working and she's taking care of the house, it's a partnership. That's the whole point of it. Okay, that's weird. That's weird. But there's always two sides to a story. That's the thing. We can only take it by this side, and we understand that, hey, that's just one side of the story. Reed S says the father needs to sack up. Oh, you mean an uncle or aunt that aren't involved in the divorce? Yeah, no, gotcha, Jessica. Yeah. Like, who's neutral to both of them. Yeah, he or she does not take a side, or they don't take a side. Yeah, I gotcha. Reed S says the father needs to sack up. He partially created this problem for his family. It's up to him to endure what's the best solution for his kid. That's the price of divorce. Yeah, it kind of is. It kind of is. And I think that people should get they should live together and find out if they are compatible before they get married. Like, do a few years together, because being in a relationship with somebody and living with them in marriage are not the same thing. They are not the same thing. And so I think that, I mean, divorce rates among atheists and secular people are way lower than among evangelical Christians, for instance. And that's wild. But I think it's because, you live with somebody and you go, hey, there's no way I should marry this person. Like, if you can't get along living together, you're not going to be able to be married together. So I think that that's probably a good idea. I can't do that with Nazi or KKK. Sorry, I'm not sure what you mean. Did I say you should do that with Nazi or KKK? I'm not sure what that's in reference to, Andrew. Moving half your shit taken away from you doesn't excuse acting in a way that gets you a restraining order. Yeah, that's 100% true. Yes. 100% true. Only Sith deals in absolutes. Obi-Wan Kenobi, Jedi Master of Irony. Yep. Oh, Jedi Master of Hypocrisy. Yeah. Exactly, RJ said to me before. It doesn't excuse destroying important family bonds for your children. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, how is hurting the mother of your children actually going to be helpful in the long run? Like, I don't understand. Like, I get it. You're furious. You don't like her. You absolutely hate her. Look, just bitch to somebody and, don't try and destroy her because she's the mother of your children. And that's going to hurt them. That's going to hurt them a lot. Oof. Whisper in his ear, stop being a dick, then slap him in the nads. Well, yeah, I'm not sure if the bro code covers that one, but yeah. Aunt Jess says supporting your bros may mean telling them to get therapy. Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, I've told one of my best friend that he needs help. Like, if something he's doing can cause harm, I won't tell you what it was, but something he was doing could cause real harm to himself, to his family, to somebody else around him, and he needs to stop. Reed says, I feel like the arsehole posts are going heavily favor not the arsehole, because most assholes don't stop to consider if they're being assholes. That's what makes them an arsehole, that everyone makes mistakes. Yeah, that's true. I don't know, Reed. I've seen enough on here where, yeah, they actually have. They surprised me. Recently, yeah, there's more of the not the arsehole coming up. I do agree with you there. There have been a few that's like, am I the arsehole for doing this? And it's like, absolutely, yes, like totally. But that nuance is there for a reason. George Carlin couldn't care less. He'd explain, yeah. It's couldn't care less, not could. But I get what people are saying. Aunt Jess says some people go to Reddit, am I the asshole, to get validation for their bad behavior and then get a reality check. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Cushing and Lee. Christopher Lee, what a champ. Watching The Burning Man now? I don't know what that is. I don't know what is that? The Burning Man. The Burning Man. I thought that was a festival. A Burning Man festival? That is the Burning Man Festival. Burning Man movie 2011. Okay, interesting. Australian drama film? Wow, interesting. Okay. Q. It looks like it's got a lot of awards too. All right, cool. We'll have to check it out. No? Wicker Man? Wicker Man, the Nicolas Cage one? Not the bees. Not the bees. Oh, the 1973 one. Okay. Okay. Reed says, here's type of Amarià discussion. Is it moral to consume products that are derived from disgraced artists like J.K. Rowling and Neil Gaiman if the rights to their art is already sold? Yeah, that's an interesting one. That is an interesting one. And I'm looking at the Ender's Game stuff. Oh, who was it? Oh, God, I can't remember his name. Because he was a absolute arsehole, like seriously. Orson Scott Card was an absolute disgrace to humanity, but he wrote really good books. It's interesting, yeah. Wicker Man with cages. That's a bold statement, Binge Thinker. That's a bold statement. I don't think it is. I really don't think it is. I think there's way worse movies than. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's bad, but at least it's bad in a funny way. It's very bad in a funny way. So yeah, not the bees. Not the bees. All right. How'd the poll go, by the way? Did you guys vote? Did you guys tell me a poster is doing well? Yeah, I agree. Anyway, I think that was the last one I was going to do. So I will get back on. Yeah, Orson Scott's card. He was terrible. He was a terrible human being, abusive, just horrible person. But really good books. Really good books. Yeah, that was fun. So thank you all for joining me so much. I really enjoyed it. Hopefully you've had a good time. If you have, do give a like. If you haven't, if you think it's awful, do give a dislike. I don't care. That's your decision. I will support it. I support it 100%. If you have any more suggestions or things, put them in the comments or come and join my Discord, which is in the description. Thank you so much to everybody. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to each other, especially when kids are involved. Like we know that, hey, you can't be, lovey-dovey with your ex-wife anymore and stuff, and you really can't stand, really loathe her. But damn it, be a man or be a woman in the case of an ex-husband. Just put up with them for the necessary time so your kids can be raised in a relatively stable environment, please. I know my parents, they were very angry at one another, but they never brought that into, in front of us or, to us about the other person. It's helpful. I can say from going through it, it's very, very good. But thank you so much. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
This old switchboard could talk. Wow. Your ears would sizzle. 1880. We take Alexander Graham Bell's invention for granted today. Perhaps we should. But isn't it incredible that millions and millions of people can talk simultaneously to practically any spot on Earth?